I left off with John Wilkes Booth being on the run after assassinating the president. Um, and here is a picture of John Wilkes Booth. At the time, the ladies loved him, thought he was quite a hottie. Um, but not so much after this. But he was pretty well known as a famous actor, good looking guy. I don't know if I see it, but anyway, here is the balcony or the booth where Booth committed the act. I know you missed my puns. Um, so that's it after the fact, kind of draped in the funeral colors and everything. So once after the president was shot, he didn't die immediately. I mean, he was shot in the head, but he was still technically alive for a few more hours. He was taken out of the theater and across the road to a boarding house, I think it was, but of a friend or somebody that he knew. But anyway, he was put into a bed there. People, his friends, and some people of his administration kind of came to be by his side. That's his wife as well, Mary Todd. And after the assassination, Mary Todd, she had kind of struggled with mental health issues prior, and largely due to the loss of one of her sons that died tragically, but this really kind of put her over the edge. Mary Todd really suffered from mental illness for the remainder of her life, but that's her by his side. This is entitled Now He Belongs to the Ages, and so that's him just in his final moments. This was a funeral procession that was done in honor of Lincoln, and this was just a few days after a similar parade that had celebrated the end of the war. There was a poem that was written by Walt Whitman. Some of you might be familiar with it, called "Oh Captain, My Captain," and I think it's a really powerful poem. It's about a ship that's been enduring a storm, and now the storm is over, but the captain of the ship is lying on the deck of the ship dead, and the symbology of this symbolism of this, of course, is that the ship is the United States weathering the storm, which is the war, but the captain of the ship, being the President Lincoln, is no longer there to celebrate the victory over the storm. Oh, Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship was weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But oh, heart, 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 all the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. My captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult all shores and ring all bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead. I think I said 14 days before, 12-day manhunt. Sorry, my bad. But Booth was still on the run, where here's the $100,000 reward on his head that I mentioned a minute ago. But the army eventually cornered him in a barn, basically, and surrounded it, demanded that he give up his gun and to come out. When he refused to, after a standoff, they eventually set fire to the barn where he died in the fiery blaze of the barn. There's a book that I highly recommend, and you may have some extra time now under the quarantine. I really, really recommend this book. This is a book that actually my mom originally read and told me what a great book it is. It's a book about the assassination of Lincoln and about Booth's subsequent hiding out until his eventual capture. But it's really told like a action novel. It doesn't read like a documentary. Like it's a good book. I originally didn't want to read it because this was in the summertime, sitting by the pool, and Mom's trying to tell me to read this history book. And believe it or not, I don't usually like to do history stuff on summer vacation or sitting by the pool. And I resisted it for a while, but eventually her persistence won out, and I picked up the book and couldn't put it down. I mean, I was sitting there at the beach, like turning the pages of this book. And I know you don't believe me because I'm a history teacher. You know, I probably do this all the time, and I'm probably lying, right? Not lying. That this is very unusual for me to read a history book at the beach. But anyway, it's a great book. It reads like a thriller. It's a page turner. I don't think you can see the author because my face is in the way, but it's James L. Swanson. It's called Manhunt: The 12-Day Chase for Lincoln's Killer. Really good book. Highly recommend. All right, moving on. The other people who were involved in the plot, not only to kill the president, but also some of the other people in his cabinet, they were executed by hanging. This included the people who helped him escape, the people who helped him plan it, the people who attacked the other members of the administration, and it also included a woman named Mary Surratt. And she was a woman who owned the boarding house where Booth and his conspirators all met to plan out the assassination. And it was believed that Mary Surratt was knowledgeable of what was happening. I mean, it was her place where they were all meeting, and it was believed that she was kind of involved in it and knew about it. And so she was actually executed as well. And it was the first time that a woman had been executed by the federal government in history. And there's a movie, I haven't seen it, so I can't fully attest to it or recommend it, but there's a movie called The Conspirator that came out a few years ago. It's not too old. That's about Mary Surratt and her execution. So that's the end. If you happen to pull up the PowerPoint instead of just watching this, there's a link that's actually attached here. But it's a YouTube video with images from the Civil War put to the song, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which is the Glory, Glory, Hallelujah song that we listened to a while back, which was originally to the tune of John Brown's Body, which you might remember. But anyway, it's a great YouTube video. I highly recommend it if you pull it up and click the link, or go to YouTube and search Battle Hymn of the Republic Civil War, and you'll find it. It's a great video with lots of images from the war and kind of puts it all together from the beginning, with pictures of John Brown and just all kinds of things that led to the war, all the way to the death of Lincoln at the end. And it's a really cool video. But anyway, so that's it. That's the end of the war. So the next video that you'll see will get us into the next unit, which is Reconstruction, which is the time period of trying to get the country back together and working and everything after the war. So we'll get to that later.